Hey everyone, it is Cindy, and this is an open door, and it is Friday, January 17th, 2025, and this is the hour that we are currently entitling Reality Check, where we use Helen Hamilton's book by the same name to allow those of us who have come together to open to a direct experience. I found a clip of Helen, and it's a little bit longer than we typically use, but somehow I'm going to play it anyway. It's not super long, it's 12 minutes. And then we'll see what happens conversation wise. And then Amy has agreed to read for us. There's only 10 pages left of this 32-page book. I don't know how long that'll take us, but all right, here we go with Helen Hamilton. And for anyone who hasn't noticed, you probably know Alka, Patrick. She's in the bottom right-hand corner of my screen. But Patrick and I were just in the Global Diet Community Zoom room, and he he chose to come here with me. And maybe we just start again from the top. All right, here we go with a little bit of Helen.
And it really comes down to the fact that we can experience ourselves as in two modes, basically. We can experience ourselves as a separate being that is trying to get to something, trying to move towards something in a process of becoming. So we do this as human beings. We move towards a particular goal, and we consider ourselves a work in progress, changing and becoming, moving into something. And we eventually even do this with the awakening that we're seeing unfolding. We see it as something, perhaps without realizing, that we're moving towards, that we're becoming closer to that. And perhaps we have this sense that we're moving towards some final destination where, or some end point in our journeying, where we will feel like and be like that awakened self. And we can also experience ourselves as that which already is complete and whole. We can experience ourselves as that quiet background of awareness, silence, stillness, beingness, whatever you want to call it, our permanent, invisible, intangible, unchanging self that we are. And although this may seem obvious, it didn't occur to me for quite a long time. And even once it did, I kept going back anyway and trying, that you can't get to being, to beingness by becoming, that there isn't any journey we can take, any change we can make to ourselves, any kind of progress or becomingness that is going to bring us back to the wholeness that we already are. Of course, that may seem on one level obvious, but most of us do tend to slip back into measuring ourselves up against certain beings, or up against where we think we should be in our awakening, and comparing, and set off trying to become again. So I really wanted to look at why we keep trying to get to being through a process of becoming and changing and of evolution, rather than simply coming to rest in that awakened state as much as we've recognized it in this current moment. What is it about this becomingness, this changing ourselves, moving towards something that's so very seductive? Why do we keep getting sucked back into doing things, trying to do things? And these doings might not be so obvious as we progress in our awakening, as we deepen in our seeing. But we might be very, very subtly feeling that we have to do something to ourselves to start to live as this awakened state, to start to live as the sages have done and do. And really, becomingness is a verb, it's a movement, it's something that's always changing, something that's always becoming, something that's always moving. It's always in motion, seeking and becoming. And maybe if we just kind of examine that right now, we can see that how are we ever going to get to something that is already here and still and complete and silent and whole and perfect by movement, by change? How are we going to be the unchanging self by trying to change ourselves into that? How are we going to rest as the perfect, authentic nature that is already here by trying to get rid of something or trying to get a hold of something that we feel we need to have, such as joy or love or something like that, or abundance? So again, it may seem obvious, but it's really worthwhile also, as much as we recognize this, to dig deep down and look at our life, our awakening in this moment. Are we still trying to get somewhere? Even if it is really, really subtly, like I'm trying to be more authentic, which is absolutely impossible to do. The two things are completely opposite. I'm trying to rest as my true nature. I'm trying to stay as the self. I'm trying to release my karmic patterns, all of that. And it really is experiences and emotions and thought patterns in our life that keep us going back to doing something, trying to fix these issues, these patterns that come up. But maybe it's the other way around. Maybe by believing there's something left for us to do or to fix or to move into or to become, we create a whole set of things to fix. Maybe by being a problem solver, we see that there are problems that need fixing and solving immediately. Have you noticed on this path of becoming, of trying to move towards something, you never actually seem to arrive? Have you noticed that? It never worked for me. I never managed to arrive. And from time to time I would say, okay, now I'm just going to be myself and leave these things to sort themselves out. Over time, my attention got pulled back into trying to fix something. Very, very subtly at first, attention gets pulled back into being a someone who's doing something. And the seductive appeal of almost there, getting closer, getting more awakened, feeling more peaceful. I really, really almost feel like I'm almost at the end of my to-do list now, spiritually. It is so extraordinarily appealing to most of us because that's all we've ever known ourselves to be, as someone or something moving through our journey. But again, if we can come to see that the very movement of becoming means that it is the antithesis of being, actually. It is the paradox, it is the contradiction to just being. And that we find if we settle into just being, that all the things we wanted to fix anyway begin to resolve themselves in a much more effortless way. All the things we wanted to iron out of our personality and all the things we wanted to get into and have and develop seem to begin to occur anyway. All the emotions that we're trying to release start to dissipate anyway. So what does it mean to just be? Can we stop traveling in this moment? Can we stop becoming? Can we stop being a movement? Can we be authentic right now in this moment? Just being as we are right now. Does that mean being a particular way or state? No, it means exactly as we are right now. So recognizing that there is something formless and stable and changeless about us, and also honoring however we are in our body and mind and our life and our emotions right now. Accepting however we're appearing is just being. This is how I am in this moment. This is me. This is my beingness. This is my body. This is my mind. This is the emotions. All of that is as it is. That is beingness. And as we rest like that more and more, then what we want to change about our body, our mind, our experiences, our relationships, our life begins to resolve by itself. All the things we've been trying to fix and all the problems that we've been trying to release or come to an end of begin to resolve without us necessarily getting involved spiritually. Our body may do things, our mind may do things, but we can simply rest as the beingness. So is that hard to do, resting as the beingness? I used to think it was incredibly hard until I really recognized what it was. Is resting as your authentic being, authentic nature, does that mean feeling only peace, love, and joy? Or does it mean being exactly as you are in this moment? Because one of them is perhaps impossible, the other is absolutely possible in this moment. Can you, for a moment, or for a minute with me now, or for the rest of your life if you want to, stop traveling? Can you be as you are right now in this moment, whatever that looks like? Even though it may be something that you would want to change, can you let it be as it is right now? Making this switch from becoming to being. Honoring the fact that you are exactly as you are in this moment, without the sense that you need to change in this moment. Seeing what happens when you do that, what happens to your mind and your body and your emotions, and the reflecting experiences in and as your life when you just allow yourself to be. I'm not just talking about the formless aspect of you, I'm talking about your manifestation to your life. Where is it written that to be as you are right now is difficult? And how long does it take for you to just let yourself be, give yourself permission to be authentic right now? What does authenticity mean to you right now? Because when I really looked this journey of becoming, of saying, I'm not how I should be right now, or I'm not as awakened as I would like to be right now, I'm not where I want to be right now, it wasn't really working out for me that way. And eventually there was more and more determination to just be whatever I am in this moment, however I'm appearing right now, with no attempt to control that or manipulate it.
Sitting
Wow.
here going, I hope Sandra's in the room. I don't remember seeing her before we started, but yeah, more people here now. So we get to open for whatever anybody wants to share.
I I'd like to just so it's like being is not living on the one hand, and then being in the moment. Does that mean I don't keep breathing? No. It's like the moment doesn't appear to be moving, but it is just what the moment is. So I guess I've gotten confused with to be is to be alive, to be moving. And then when I stop, and that word stop, it doesn't mean stop living, stop being in the moment. It just stop what I've been thinking it meant. Do something, move. If I'm not moving, I'm dying. No, all that's made up. So it's that it is so free when I surrender to this moment and let the moment be, not me, but the moment be me, or be me, be in the moment. That's what it means to me now.
Oh, please, Patricia.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. This is my first time on Friday, so it's a pleasure to be here. I just want to build on what William was saying, because it's a surrendering to the moment by accepting that this is, and I think the word accepting is so important for me. It's like if I accept what is, period. It just is. Therefore, I can settle into being in this moment. So acceptance and surrendering it into acceptance allows the moment to be. Nothing I can do about it but accept it. I may not like it, but I'll accept it. I don't know if that makes sense. Does that make sense to anybody?
Perfect sense.
Okay.
Perfect sense.
Thank you, Amy.
Patrick and I were having this conversation, and I needed to go to come here. And from my perspective, what we were talking about was how there seems to be different layers or frequencies going on all at the same time. And we were talking a little bit about trauma. There was some trauma from my childhood that was coming up during the dyad this morning. And it was fear, like I could feel the fear in it. And my sense is that that is in one level, and this frequency of love, it moves through everything. But there is this sense that when I'm here, when I'm in the dyad, when I'm sitting in, you ready, Sandra, communion with the divine, there that fear-based frequency just doesn't exist in that space. And my my experience more and more is that the more time I spend in that, in the communion and here in the dyads, in that frequency, um, the more that fear-based structure just kind of takes care of itself. There's nothing really to fix. And when it what happened in the dyad is that memory of that structure arose when I was hanging out in a much higher frequency, and I could feel its pull, and I could feel the construct and put words to it. But I really just was able to have it come up without needing it to be anything other than it was, and not really needing to fix it. And from there, it has less, it colors my experience of beingness less, if that makes sense. And I did start to cry when I realized that she was pointing to that same, yes, Alka. I set the intention before moving into the dyad to, um, I started to cry when I was listening to Helen because it seemed like, in many ways, a continuation of our conversation. At least it felt like that here. And I didn't pick that, like that video, I never pull these videos that were playing at the beginning of this meeting until right before the meeting, and I don't listen to them before I play them. I just open up and click one. So, William, this time,
Can I share 5 words that occur to me? Love is, fear is moving.
beautiful. So are we reading or is there more? Shall I pull it up? You ready, Amy?
Yeah, I just want to say one thing. In a gathering last night, Patricia asked this question. And I hope you don't mind if I just tell a little bit of your, okay. She asked this question. She was sitting in the dentist chair, which is like not a place for most of us where we are calm and happy. And she said, I just was present in the dentist chair, just being in the moment. And she said, is this what it's all about? Is this what, what it means to be, to awaken, and it was such a great question. Because the answer was, of course, yes. And you could see people in the room go, oh, it's so simple, isn't it? It's just so simple. And yet, as Michael Beckwith said yesterday in our gathering, we don't know when we say yes to the moment what that will open up. We can't imagine when we say yes to the moment how that will open up the next moments. And that's the beauty of saying yes. That's the beauty of being present. It takes the lid off the whole thing. So that's what comes to me.
Amy, thank you
So-
for mentioning that. Cindy, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
Because I was thinking about it as I was doing some reading last night, and people have, when they awake, they have these wonderful experiences. The veil is lifted and they move through, and there's this magical thing that occurs. Well, that hasn't happened for me. And I just wonder what people think about that. Have they had those experiences where, there's a deus ex machina and God appears and everything is cool and you go, wow. Anyway, that's my question.
I could answer that from Helen's because she taught, I've watched a lot of Helen's videos, and she said that she struggled for years wanting to be enlightened and, banging her head up against the wall and all this stuff. And then somehow she, at some point she turned around and said, wait a minute, that happened. She wasn't aware of it when it was happening. So, and that's another thing. I mean, I have a thing I transcribed from her, which says, which I could probably find and read, but I remember the gist of it, which was that, maybe we've run past the place and now we think, now we're saying we're not there. Why should we say we're not there? We are there. I mean, I just took notes to what she just said, and you can't get to beingness by becoming. There isn't any journey that will take us to where we are. Seeking and becoming is always movement. How are we going to be the unchanging self? By changing ourselves. On this path of becoming, you never actually seem to arrive. Becoming is the antithesis of being.
Thank you.
Yeah, she said, and she. I remember in that quote that I transcribed. She says, "We don't need this carrot, and in front of us to keep on moving towards. We certainly don't need a stick. I haven't made it. I haven't made it. You know, we are. That's it. That is it. This is how I am in this moment. All of that is like it is. Beingness is resting as the beingness. Is resting as the beingness hard to do? Can you be as you are right now in this moment? Helen will answer your questions. And my husband was dying of Parkinson's, and he had dementia, and it was a mess. It was and I wrote to her and I said, how do I handle this? And she gave me one word: authentic. Just be who you are in the moment. You don't have to be a fucking spiritual person that's going to be all peaceful with this stuff. So I mean, I allowed myself to just run around screaming, to cry as hard as I could cry, to just whatever was happening, that was what was happening. And what a blessing that was.
Mhm. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you.
The two things that come up for me, I'm very moved by teachers like Adi Ashante and Muji. They both just said, if it feels special, keep going. Um, and I had a conversation it was last Friday, because I know where it was, with a friend that I've been on this path with for a long time. And she said, Cindy, do you hear your guidance? Like do you hear it? And I looked at her, I just said, are you more calm and more peaceful and more everything than you were when we started? And she said, absolutely. I was like, then it's working and you're being guided. Like this search for the mystical and the magical. Muji and Adi Ashante to me are the two teachers that really, really helped me recognize that anything that's mystical or magical or any of those things, it's just it holds duality in place. If you said something, you're muted, Patricia. So
What I wanted to say was thank you. That's important. Muji was on my list to listen today, so thank you.
Michelle.
Hello.
Hello.
So first of all, Pat, I love your laugh. Oh my gosh, it's so contagious. I love it. And Patricia, that is a fantastic question. I love that question. I think every human being, and yes, Cindy, I completely agree with you about the duality versus the non-duality with this particular conversation. But I think we all have. I love in the Course in Miracles how it says that no miracle, they're not big or small, there's no measurement that way. But I think we as human beings, I think that we all have these moments where we're like, hey, I would really appreciate a carrot right now. and and I think as we do journey through this very exciting and sometimes painful experience, we are given certain gifts. Now, I have to say, like, I'm fascinated by NDEs, but I would please do not bring that in my experience. I do not want, but I'm so happy and grateful for these people who bring back these stories, and they're beautiful carrots for me. So Patricia, I really appreciate that, because I think we all of us have this yearning, and it's a part of helping us remember, in my humble opinion. For me, it is. Anyway, thank you for listening.
Shall we attempt to read a page? Sandra, maybe.
Good morning. I just wanted to add one thought. in my experience, we each get exactly what we need. And that's why it's so different for each person. It's been exquisitely tailored, our experiences for us. And while I can explain or try to describe some experiences that seem mystical, and I wondered, why did I get that? And I realized right away that's exactly, I needed to be hit over the head with it. I needed to be like, wake up. And I'm not sure everyone needs that. So I just think we all get exactly what we need, and accepting that is part of accepting that is part of the process of awakening for me.
Mhm.
And
So-
as you were talking, I just appreciated how normalized Michael Beckwith made. Like, he discussed some intense
Yes.
mystical experiences, and he said, yeah, that happened. Let's move on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's not, I don't want to deny those experiences because that's a big part of my experience. I mean, that's just it. But it wasn't like, I have never heard any two people describe the exact same experience. I think they are, as I said, perfectly tailored for each of us.
Patricia was going to say something, and then there's Pat.
Oh, what I was going to say is, Sandra, please give you a virtual hug? That was it. Thank you.
All right, Pat.
All right, so, oops. Oh, here we go. Where am I? Oh, good, I am unmuted. So to what Sandra was saying, this is the Dove and Mai's favorite sentence from Workbook Lesson 135. What could you not accept if you but knew that everything that happens, all events, past, present, and to come, are gently planned by one whose only purpose is your good? That's exactly it. Tailor-made. Every single experience is tailor-made for your good. And I think that ties in with the, I'm responsible for what I see and I choose the feelings I experience, and everything that seems to happen to me, I have asked for and received what I have asked. So the constant reminders of the constant reminders of who we are just there all the time, and we're asking for it. We want that. We want it, so we got it.
Richard.
I wonder if I'll ever get to the book today. But anyway, great sharing. What has really helped me was a quote from the Course that says, "Revelation will come to every mind. The time is set." So I realize there's nothing I can do in the dream to make it happen. It will happen when it happens, and so I got rid of all my angst about waking up or having revelatory experience. I just said, if it's meant to be, it will be. What it kind of I grew from a needing this and wanting that, and to preferences, and now I'm in the stage of whatever happens, happens. I'm ready. But as Sundberg said, bring it on. Yeah. Love you
Bring
all.
it on. And we love you. Shall we give it a go? Shall I do my screen share, or is there more? All right. I think this is the page we're on. Oh, hold on. It would go back to Helen. That's not where I want to be.
I just want to also say that, seek but do not find is exactly what Helen was talking about.
So I think this is where we were, right? Like the last thing I remember us talking about, and it's also where it opened up. If you cannot find where you end, then you must go on forever, and you must be an unlimited being. I believe that was the last point, but I could be mistaken.
Yeah,
So-
I have that we got all the way, most of page 27, like all the way down to even to say you will have to choose.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what I have.
okay, then,
That's what
Yeah,
I have too.
okay.
We're on page 28, the second paragraph. I marked it.
One final note.
No, see, those page numbers are different from what I have, Sandra.
Oh, sorry.
It's all
Is this
right.
is this
No,
where we
go
are?
back one more.
The dictionary definition is where I have that we left off.
So
On
okay.
page 27.
of the kin,
Back
which way am I going?
to the left because we haven't got to those steps yet.
Oh. Are we
Right,
here?
we're not even
Yeah.
on chapter 6 yet.
Oh,
One more.
so we're back to where I began.
Yes.
Yeah, but just a different paragraph than what you said.
Okay, That
So
was fun.
Amy is saying on the left side there, the dictionary definition.
that works.
That's where we left off.
Okay.
It's all yours, Amy.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm
and
gonna
just to remind everybody, and there's a couple people here new, anyone at any time during the reading can unmute and say, now, hold on, let's talk about this. That's the way we do this.
Right.
So if there's if you want to slow us down, have a discussion, sink in, then go ahead and just unmute and begin talking.
Even if it's the first sentence.
And known to happen. All right.
Okay. So I'll just start with the paragraph above because it asks a question. Can you even have a gap in infinite being? No, you cannot, because it would not be infinite then. There can be no places you are not, and there can be no places you are absent. All these other beings are you, and all these objects are also you. There is nothing outside of you. The dictionary definition of infinite is, quote, limitless or endless in space, extent, or size, impossible to measure or calculate, quote. So if you think there are over 7 billion human beings and countless billions of animal and insect species, then that would make you an infinite being with holes inside you that are too numerous to count. If you spend even a few minutes thinking about this, you will see it must all be you. Even if we consider something smaller and more local, we can see it is not so. Consider the sofa you are sitting on right now, or the clothes you are wearing that seem separate from you. Are they really? How far does your infinite being go? I have seen many students tell me they know what it is to be formless, but they imagine a human body sitting less than 2 meters away is separate from them, and the air around them is also separate. I know what it is to be formless. I know what it is to be formless is really to accept there is nothing outside of you, different from you, or separate from you. It may look as though you are just a human being living in a world populated by countless beings and insentient things, but this cannot be so. It really is a choice of where you want to live from. You must either choose to live as that infinite being that you are, or continue imagining yourself to be small and limited and here only for a short time.
All right, I'm willing to stop here, desiring to stop for a minute. And if for only reason that I'm feeling like my lower abs cramping in how direct she's speaking to this idea of choice and free will. We've talked about free will quite a bit over the last however many weeks. But it feels as if she's asking in every moment for us to make a choice where we're hanging out in our belief structure.
I will never forget the time I was sitting right here at this desk when Rupert was doing something, and I realized that I could not imagine any condition, space, beingness without objects. My mind literally froze at that thought. It doesn't anymore, which I love, because I also realized, because Rupert's taught us, the finite mind can't imagine that. And so you have to let go of using the finite mind to try to imagine that you're every single insect and space between the insects and bird and molecule of water and atomic structure. You can't do that with the mind. It just isn't the right tool. It's like trying to open a jar with a piece of string.
I am curious if there's anyone here that, well, and again, it's an interesting, like the physical body is feeling a little bit ill. And I'm wondering if it's because the reality of what she's writing is sinking in on another level. So this feeling of being a separate object is hanging out on it in the borderland. And every time I say that word, I think of you. In the borderlands, like there is an experience of being an object separate in the same space of accepting the impossibility of that on another level. And the two are meeting, and the feeling is one of disorientation. What say you, Rana?
First, I say good morning and I love you all. Hello. This reminds me of our discussion about when we're reading the course and we're talking about who is the you that is being addressed. And so am I going to view all this as this personality, Rana, small and limited, or is the you everythingness and nothingness at the same time, right? And so that's where I'm going here. When she says earlier on the page, there is nothing outside of you, that's because what I am truly is everything. But as Amy said, right, if I allow the mind, the intellect to investigate that, it wants to start going, oh yeah, we're all molecules and not those all touch each other. And it wants to create some sort of imagination to describe what's happening there. And that's just confusion, because I'm never going to get a satisfactory answer there. So can I step back as this personal little tiny self, Rana, having an experience and say, But the truth, even though you can't see it with these body's eyes, is that I am everything. And I can say yes, because I have had those glimpses of that experience just listening to Helen. And that, there was a moment where, like Michael Singer describes it, as you like sit in the seat of consciousness, right? It's like, woo, and it's behind and it's everywhere. And that includes everything. But my head, my intellect wants to describe that, and it's indescribable. So I feel like there's, like Michael, yesterday, our video, he was talking about belief as a placeholder for knowing. And so that's what it feels like here, is this little placeholder for this. And not that there's anywhere to get, but there is to experience, to drop back and be, And so without the intellect, it's more of a heart. It's a be. So this has all been very juicy this morning. I didn't get a chance to tell you, but I love the summary of the video, and the sentence that kind of got me was, we never arrive, and watch for the seductive appeal of getting closer. There was something real delicious about that. And so I've got some writing to do. I'll keep you posted.
Well, I'm going to let Patricia say what she's going to say, and then I'm inspired to suggest we do something together based on something that Rana just said.
Therefore, I shall make it short. One of the things, it's like the use, how do we utilize the finite mind to engage in this way of being? And one of the ways is the imagination. It's like, as I was reading that of these billions of insects and this and that and that and that, if I can imagine it in my mind and then let go of the mind and just stay in the imaginings, it's helpful. That's what I wanted to say, and I was wondering what other people think about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Amy.
Oh, wow. That was just a gem, Patricia. Such a gem. I love what you said, because the non-dual teachings, for a long time, I believed, oh no, you have to be exactly where you are right now. Everything is real right now as it is. And if I use my imagination, I'm trying to escape. And I should not do that. I should just really try to be as aware as I can of everything that's happening right now. Well, I think you're right, Patricia. We have an imagination, and it's fine to use it. When we use the imagination, know you're using it. Like, use it consciously. But okay, that's fine. That's there is no independent thought, right? All thoughts come from the universe, so to speak. So yes, visualizing, Alka, yes. That's the richness, as Rana just said. It's the juiciness. Just realize I'm aware that I'm visualizing right now. Wow, I can do this. How fun is this? Thank you, Patricia.
Sandra.
Did you want to do something before I speak? I thought.
I do want to take us through something.
Okay, I'll just try this very quick, and that would be this. Let's say we were reading a chapter about water, and we were trying to understand water, and there were all the properties of water, and the person writing the chapter had actually had a taste of water and had been in the water, but I had never been in the water. So how would I figure it out? Would I look at a molecule of water under the microscope and try to figure out what water is that way? No, it's when Amy said the mind cannot comprehend, the only time my mind has been able to comprehend was when I actually swallow the water and I'm in the water, and then it's absolutely impossible to explain to another person what that is like, because there aren't words that can give you the experience of being in the water. So I could imagine it, what it might be like. That might help. So I think that's why the words direct experience meant so much to me when I was listening. I think it was Rupert Spira who I first heard that from. It's the direct experience that is really knowable. Like what Rana said, we have glimpses of it. I think we wouldn't be here if we hadn't been touched by it in some way. And it's like, just be patient. All of us will have a direct experience. It's there. It's right here for us as it's, and I think Helen's okay. I think what Helen was saying to us this morning is we're doing the opposite of what she was telling us to do. Trying to figure it out, you know, trying to.
All right. So how about I do what I'm guided to do, and then you let me know if it's what you're talking about. There's emotion arising. So one of the things that we're looking at is the fact that there's an acceptance, but not an experience of this object being one of trillions of objects, and how can that be? That's what we're looking at. But what if I just take, what if you, and one of the things, by the way, often when we're invited into a direct experience, I notice how this thinking mind wants to pop me out of it. So if you want to play this game, just see whether or not you could be present for it, or if the mind wants to think about it, right? Does the mind want to think about the taste of the water or drink the taste of the water? Or do you want to have the experience of the water, right? So we're all wearing a shirt, or at least I'm assuming Kendall and Linda Joy are wearing a shirt. I could see everybody else. So there is a physical form that I say is me, right? There's a body, if you get a feel for the body. And there is the acceptance that this body, your body, is wearing a shirt. That seems to be the picture. And on some level, there is an agreement, a collective agreement, that this form is the body, Cindy's body, or Pat's body, or Patrick's body, is separate from the shirt. I take my awareness into that barrier, just that one little thing, and hang out to where the body, here's the body, and here's the shirt. Can you find the edge? Just that, instead of going into the multi-billions to look for the edge. In this particular case, we've been teetering on this acceptance collectively, you know, conceptually, that consciousness can't have trillions of holes in it. But let's go into this now experience. I'm sitting here saying I'm a physical body. I got 10 fingers, 10 toes, and I'm wearing a shirt. Where do I end and the shirt begin? Can I find the edge? Can you find? The mind's going to say, of course I can't, blah, 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 or of course I can, but I'm not interested. That's not the question. What the mind knows about the structure. Can I hang out in looking for the edge? Can I hang out where the body becomes the shirt, where the shirt becomes the body, or the body ends and the shirt begins? Just would love, or I'm curious as to what your experience with that one tiny little. Ron.
So I had the experience of the mind trying to pull me out, saying, what part of it is itchy? You know how you could feel, right? But there wasn't any, because there is no edge. And then a bird started chirping and there was no edge. It was part of all of it. It wasn't it isn't, you're not separate. That's the experience.
Livy.
Howdy, everybody. So the oneness experience that I had occurred while I was playing my guitar. And I was sitting in a chair and I was playing my guitar. And at that point in my life, I mean, I'd moved to the first big city I'd ever lived in, really didn't know anybody and didn't have a lot of material things. And my guitar was my best friend. And every night I would play the guitar before I went to bed. I guess for looking back, I guess that was my form of meditation. And it was while I was playing the guitar that I had the experience of all of a sudden I was one with the chair, the guitar, everything. I just became, there was no separation there. I mean, it was just like straight coming down. And of course, it startled me so much that I wasn't there for that long, but it just was an amazing, amazing experience where I was one with the guitar, the chair, everything. And so for me, I associate it with, for some reason, it just seems like the arts are such an invitation to stepping out of the thinking mind for me and becoming engrossed in, like I said in the chat, an amazing piece of acting or an amazing piece of music or playing an instrument, and even though I had that experience, it's kind of like Wayne Dyer said that when he levitated and he was levitating and he said the minute he thought about, wow, I could go on Letterman, and do this, and then bam, he's back on the floor and he never had the experience again, and so I don't know if I will, but it did definitely provide me with a knowing, even though right now I may not necessarily, just having the belief. And I love the place card that I think it was Rana reminded us of, belief being a place card for knowing. And so anyway, so just wanted to share that. So thank you.
Thank you. Richard.
What came to mind was lucid dreaming. What if the infinite awareness enters a dream and experiences both at the same moment, being infinite, being finite. But in order to do that, they're under the dream. And they know it's a dream, it's not real, but they can experience whatever they want in the dream. And occasionally, maybe, experience like Livy did, both being in the dream, but also being aware of and experiencing the infinite. So we don't have to understand it. We just have to let it be. So the more it happens, the more we feel like we're connected with the true self. But in fact, we're experiencing everything, the infinite and the finite, continuously from moment to moment. So if we just let it be, we're happy. When we resist it, we're not. So that's what came to mind for me.
Thank you. Amy, you will be the last voice before I turn off the recorder.
I'll be
What is
quick
it you're going to
too.
say?
I'll be really quick. What came to mind for me was I can feel the shirt, then I don't feel the shirt. The shirt might be a color, and then it might not be a color. The only thing that really remained was the knowing I am present in this moment. I am the unchanging awareness. It doesn't matter. The shirt changes. The shirt, every day I put on a different shirt, or at least I seem to in the dream. But the only thing that didn't change was the awareness of my own being.
So we read a couple of paragraphs. This is so much fun. Before I stop the recorder, just we have next Thursday for Finding Truth Everywhere. Feels like that's what I want to talk about for a second. Kendall has pointed us to Craig Foster next week, which is awesome. The week after that, thanks to Carrie, who's not here in the moment, I have set up a part one of a conversation between Dan Siddell and Tara Brock. And
Oh.
after that, we're coming back to a recommendation from Kendall, which is a conversation. And I got chills because I don't know if I could wait 3 weeks for this. A conversation between Francis Lucille and the Sedona dude, whose name just I lost him. What's his name? Sorry, I'm gonna pull it up. Hal Dworskin has a podcast. So Hal and Francis Lucille, for some reason my imagination never put the two of them together. And we meet again on Monday. I love us very, very much. I'm gonna stop the recording.